Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode 62 of the Locker Room Life podcast, proudly brought to you by Buddy Hockey Club, Best Damn Tape, Quench Hydration, DraftKings Sportsbook, and True Fit Customs. Boys, I know we keep saying it, but it's actually getting a week closer. The summer's ending. Everyone's going back to school. Everyone's getting back into their routines. But more importantly, sports are ramping back up on all levels. It's got that fall feeling in the air. I'm so excited. How are you guys doing out there?
Boys, I'm great. Last week before I head back, it was a very, very fun summer. We all did a lot, but I'm ready. I'm ready to get back to it. I got to get that degree. Senior season on the verge here, but trying to make my rounds, say goodbye to everyone that I haven't been able to see much this summer. We hit up a Tigers game this past weekend. I just got to vent quickly. I don't know what it is, but since I've been a kid, I have yet to see them win, and I've been to double-digit games in person. It's to the point, guys, where when I walk into that stadium, I know they're not going to win. I mean,
you're just there for a good time.
I'm there for a good time, I treated myself to a beer bat. It was pretty cool. Got to take that home. Yeah, fellas, other than that, just getting ready to go back.
Detroit Tigers, did you hear that? Don't let Owen Baker in the stadium. You guys will lose every time.
Every time. Auto.
Hey, fella, don't worry. At least you got a souvenir out of it. You got a nice beer bat to bring back home. Triumphant victory. But no, boys, it's everyone's going back to school. I'm not going back to school. Frank, me and him were on the phone this morning, and Frank was like, "How does it feel?" I was like, I don't even realize it. I mean, most of you guys don't know, but behind the scenes of the Locker Room Life and Best Damn Tape, we're running around. Everything's moving quick. Everything is jumping around. And yeah, boys, just tornado after tornado in Ohio. I feel like I need to get Glenn Powell on the scene for Twisters. He needs to go tornado watching. It's insane. I had to pack a pallet literally probably 300 feet from a tornado. That's what you call a commitment to my customers. Shout out Seattle Thunderbirds. Was putting a pallet on a truck, and boys, it was bad. The driver, I'll call it the liftgate gate. That's what we're gonna call it. The liftgate wouldn't move up. It was messed up. I was in the pouring rain, lightning striking. That's all I'm gonna say. But I had a great weekend. Other than the awful weather, just got to chill with my fiance, chill with my family. I went to putt. It was good, boys, but I'm excited to be here with you as always.
Don't let him mislead you. As I asked him how it felt to not be at school, you could see one tear coming down the side of his face. Just, I will remember you. Seattle Thunderbirds. If there's a little sog on that on that tape, then don't where it came from. The commitment that Logan Kuvo put together to give that to you. But boys, it's hot. I don't know what else I could say at this point. It's like living in a toaster. The other day I was I had my phone in my hand and it literally just stopped. And it just wouldn't even turn on. Usually just gives you a little bit of a warning, like, hey, you probably want to get this thing away from your face, you big dummy. Don't put this near your brain. It's going to cook it, you dummy. But no, it's living in AZ in the summer, 115, right in the thick of it. But like I said, man, I'm so excited. We got a couple guys on the ASU team, so being able to get the boys ramped up, hockey, it's sad to see a lot of the fun guys that are, skating around in the summer. A lot of those guys are getting back to their routines, their clubs, a lot of them are going to colleges. So it's exciting, man, but I'm a little excited about this week coming up. Going to a little party. I'm going to have more details about it. Super honored. You're going to be celebrating the Stanley Cup victory of our boy, Brandon Bussey. So more details to come on that, but it's just the culmination of an amazing season for the Carolina Hurricanes, and to be part of it, it's going to be amazing. And just to see the feeling and being around that energy. So, we've said it time and time again, what an amazing person, OTSG family, just being able to provide this amazing opportunity. But we got a lot of things coming up in the next couple months, and I'm really, really hoping that this sports season starts, because I'm dying out here, boys. I'm going deep on subscriptions on just what to watch. It's getting ugly out there. What are you guys watching out there on streaming? Just give me one. I need something.
Reruns over here. I'm just watching UFC reruns when it comes to sports. That's literally my only thing of sports. I can't do hockey reruns anymore. I've watched the Stanley Cup Finals too many times now at this point.
I found myself dipping my toes into lacrosse. There really isn't much out there right now, but it has been a little entertaining.
And golf. And I've been watching golf. I was watching Scotty kick some ass this last week at the FedEx Cup.
Oh, buddy, you're diving deep.
I
can't watch golf. I like golf, but watching golf, I'll just fall asleep on the couch like 2 minutes in.
Season 3 of Tires as well. That just
dude. I just binged it.
I have to binge it.
I just binged it. It's
best season yet. Do you think?
Yeah. For sure. I think
I heard Jamie Lynn Siegler's in it
she is. It's at a pivotal point. Bakes knows what I'm talking about when she kind of exits stage left on that, but just a throwback. You know what I've been diving deeper into? I know you guys are into this, but the Taylor Sheridan shows. I mean, Lioness kicked back up, so any Lioness fans out there, it's a great show. But also another show, I don't know if you caught it, The Madison. Oof, boys, it's a good one.
I prefer film these days.
Like, what's the movie that you haven't seen yet that Bakes and I saw?
Listen, boys.
The Odyssey, is it even still in theaters now? I mean, come on.
I know.
I'll get it when it goes to Apple TV.
Logan's waiting for it. He just doesn't want to pay $10 to watch it. He's just going to pay $10 at his house to watch it. So everyone that's seen Odyssey, let's just me, you, and Bakes just talk about it, and then just comment down so we can just talk about your guys' favorite parts.
I'm in charge of some of the posting on YouTube, so please don't comment anything, any spoilers in the comments, please. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
LRL family, we are so honored to be sponsored by TrueFit Custom Mouth Guards, the only custom mouth guard that uses Invisalign technology. What does that mean? That means that it's fully custom to your teeth, to your jibs. You're not going to be out there talking to people just muffled. You're going to be dialed in and focused on your performance.
And on top of that, TrueFit is the official guard of the Professional Hockey Athletic Trainer Society.
Use code LRL25 at checkout for 25% off. That's code LRL25 for 25% off.
We haven't dove in on any player transactions or player movement in a while. And 2008, his name's Mac Diggins, earlier this year signed with the Owen Sound Attack of the Ontario Hockey League. And just 3 days ago, posted Green Bay Gamblers in the USHL, signed. Elite Prospects still says that he's on the Owen Sound Attack for this upcoming year. And it's just the times, boys. I mean, literally, what is stopping, a player from signing in both leagues? Like, there's truly nothing stopping that. And you can see it right there. If you sign in the OHL and you go there and they end up cutting, I'm already signed in the USHL, I'll just go over here and play here. And as Frankie says all the time, that's going to really hinder some of these guys who are trying to get into these spots. And they're, maybe they're a bottom 6 guy. And they don't have the pick of the choice to go to the OHL or the USHL, and they get sewered and they don't have a chance to play Division I hockey anymore. They, of course that's an extreme, but there's just a lot of cases that these have happened. I mean, we talked about Tynan when it happened during the year and like that gray period of him going to college. Malhotra left and went to college. It's just been crazy, guys. And with that, the ladder of development is turning into, in that same rate, the ladder of development is like turning in from USHL to OHL to NCAA. And I know that maybe some leagues in there didn't want that to be their role in that development ladder, but that's just the sign of the times. The money, the NIL, everything that's happening, it's just all pushing together to form what is going to be hockey in these next few years.
It's almost like a transfer portal for junior hockey, right? There's so much movement nowadays, and the fact that you're able to sign in 2 leagues, I can't even fathom it when I played in the USHL. But it's interesting, right? Because I've seen it with guys I've been skating with in Michigan. A majority of them have signed OHL contracts now, but I could see it where, these OHL teams, with the amount of guys that want to play for these organizations now, they sign them, maybe they delegate them to the USHL for a bit, or maybe back to AAA until the time is right and they're able to call them up and find a good role. But it's just absolute chaos out there, guys, and everyone that's going through it. I hope that they can find a home. I wish them the best of luck because this is nuts.
Man, I feel really sympathetic for a lot of people that are trying to build organizations, coaches trying to solidify lineups. It gets tough. You're going to see a lot of movement. And we talked about it last episode in regards to the transfer rule. That is going to open up a lot of doors for a lot of movement. And the movement already is so much that's happening, right? Like we talked about, like Logan said, a lot of guys that are choosing to leave, after Christmas break and heading off to their colleges to improve their draft status. But you look at this even further, guys are going to be leaving a couple games in, trying different scenarios, coming back. You'll see a lot of guys that are going to the USHL, going to the CHL, maybe being like, you know what? Grass wasn't greener on the other side. It sucks because there's going to be a lot of different theories in lineups, and there's going to be a lot of alternative scenarios to your starting lineups of what you think it's going to be in September versus what it's actually going to be, a month from now, 2 months from now. Things are going to be changing. And also, you know what I think it hurts? Continuity with your team, right? The best thing about being with the boys and being with the team is that you consecutively grow closer as you take those road trips together. You guys are spending more time bonding at the hotel, and that's what makes the team. And at the end of it all, let's be honest, guys, like that's what we miss the most. Bakes, you're still playing, so you're still in it, so enjoy your damn teammates, dude. But that's what I think is really gonna be affected that not a lot of people are talking about, and that sucks because that's the biggest part of hockey that we love, the camaraderie, like being able to form those relationships with guys. And it's almost like I don't want to get too close. You don't want to get your heart broken if this guy leaves tomorrow. It sucks. It's one of those things where it's a sign of the times. People are going to be making decisions for themselves. From a player aspect of it, why not? Why not do the best for yourself, for your future, and to set yourself up for the best future that you can have, especially if you're looking at the college level, you're going to be paid a good amount of money on an NIL deal based on your next move and what school you go into. So why not work the system that is allotted for you to work through and put yourself in the best situation possible?
Yeah, and to what Bake said, like it's just going to be a feeder league like the NAL was to the USHL. The USHL is going to be to the CHL, and it's going to be nuts. So we'll see.
But I don't get the aspect of guys leaving having to play in the CHL. But the only thing I can equate it to is that college hockey's older. They are stronger. So essentially, more years of preparation allows you to facilitate you being more mature. But I don't know. It's just an interesting trend that's happening.
Everyone's doing it. That's the reason. It's because everyone's doing. All the older players, all the best players are going there, and that's where it's just a trend. You're exactly right, Frankie. It's literally just a trend, and who knows if we'll stay that way for a while. But I can see that if the CHL and USHL have notoriously, for anyone who doesn't know, not liked each other that much. But if they can let down their arms and actually kind of do something cohesive where it's like, hey, you got to know your role. And if your role is to develop these guys, then go to the CHL, to then go to college, then that's what it is for maybe these few years until something else changes. So it's nuts. Every day, boys, the Wild West, get your cowboy hats on.
But it's also, I think there's a little bit of, it's the curiosity factor, right? It's kind of when the CHL was this thing that everybody, if you played in North America, if you played in the US, you're like, oh, the CHL. It's kind of like you hear these grandiose tales and you never really know for yourself. And now the doors are open. You're kind of like, well, I want to see what this is about. So player exploration is a big part of that too, player curiosity. So I like that from a player standpoint too, because you're being able to make the decision for yourself and be like, hey, this is the best spot for me. I've seen my options and I'm choosing the best location for me.
Boys, the IMDb for athletes, athleteagent.com, co-founded by Aaron Rodgers and Ryan Rotman, is essentially a portfolio for over 30,000 athletes across 20 different sports leagues looking to expand into over 280, where these bigger conglomerates and companies are able to look at these portfolios and essentially invest in these athletes. They have a lot of different things on these pages for them, whether it be statistics, philanthropy, and etc. This is just absolutely insane, guys. What do you think?
I think that it's a very smart thing. I mean, if anyone is in tune with the Instagram, we just posted a talking head about Card Vault, and that's Tom Brady bringing in all of the biggest names, whether it's music, whether it's sports. Connor McDavid is in there. Let's face it, guys. For as long as these sports have been in the United States, around the world, people drool over athletes. People drool over these guys, whether it's an investment in their talent, whether it's, oh, I can use their face for something else or this, that, and the other thing. But now if you can kind of get on that journey with them, it's going to change a lot. And these people are going to start throwing a lot of money at these athletes, even more than they're getting right now. And we know those numbers are up already. And it's like what happened before, chicken or the egg. These people are coming in because the athlete market is booming, but then these athletes have done it. They've set themselves up for success, and it's just inevitable at this point. It was eventually going to happen, and I like the IMDb approach to it, to kind of give the full breakdown of what they are, completely involved in. And if you're able to contact them off of that and actually form a relationship beyond just seeing them on an IMDb and trying to invest, I think that's also what people are looking for out of things like these. So it is another sign of the times, boys. These platforms are going to keep popping up more and more that are just going to be innovating sports in general.
It's the culture we live in, right, guys? Like, athletes are intertwined with fashion, musicians are intertwined, athletes, like, it's all, which I think is amazing, because to have a mixing and melting pot of all the talents is something that is going to be a tool that's going to continuously grow. I also think in this AI world we live in, people are really going to be craving genuine content from people that they gravitate towards, and athletes, especially now, we're, the biggest advocates of that. We love to tell athletes stories, not just athletes, but everybody's stories. So when you gravitate to somebody at a young age as an athlete, as they grow through the ranks, as they become successful, that's something that from a younger generation, I think you're going to see a lot more people gravitating towards that, opposed to dumb culture that it's just an actor that they see on all the Hollywood press news, and they've now established that as their inspiration. I think that society's changing, and like I said, it's scary out there. You don't know what is real and what's not anymore, but if there's one thing that is still genuine and pure, is sports, and being able to follow somebody's journey that grew up in a small neighborhood, that then went to college, that then is now playing professionally. There's an audience that has grown with that person in all steps and phases of their life. So it's only natural that now they're creating, especially have Aaron Rodgers behind it. He knows that the athletes are going to be the faces of larger companies. I know Hugo Boss, has found people from this website as well. So this is going to be a continual database where a lot of these athletes are going to become actors. So these bigger actors that you're going to be seeing out there that are going to be the inspiration for the next realm of actors are going to be athletes, which I think is amazing, because a lot of people knock on athletes for not being able to act. So take that. We can act.
Sean Avery in the Odyssey.
Guys, big news on the hockey investment level. They're going to start having ETFs for every NHL team. So all 32 NHL teams are going to have an ETF. What does that mean? An ETF is a bundle of all the companies that support each respective NHL team. So let's clarify. What you're investing into is not an ownership of the team. You're investing into the portfolio of companies and brands that support that respective franchise. What does that mean on a larger level? You're going to be investing in helping, as we know, hockey is not a large revenue sport yet comparative to football or baseball on a revenue level, right? So this is just another amazing way from a financial purpose that you're going to be able to invest into those companies, which will financially boost the support for that respective franchise. The kicker is, do your research, people, before you start to invest in this, because I do think that there's a little bit of a cloak and dagger approach here, because they think, and these financial people, you know how smart they are, they're tugging on the heartstrings of these amazing sports fans that love to follow their favorite sports team. And, they think they're going to be the Green Bay Packers, where the Green Bay Packers do a majority ownership, where you have a certificate that you own a piece of the Green Bay Packers. This isn't the case. So they're taking that sports mentality and they're making you think that, hey, you got to be part of this team, and you are part of the team, but you're investing into the companies that support that. So what is the net effect? Your team could be winning. You invest into the Detroit Red Wings, the Edmonton Oilers, the LA Kings. They could be killing it, but if the investment portfolio of that respective team is losing, your investment is in the toilet. So it's interesting, boys. Another wing of this interesting sports evolution.
It's very interesting for, just an everyday person that wants to invest in something different, right? And maybe you're not too familiar with the stock market or Bitcoin or things like that, but anything that involves money, definitely do your research, like Frank said. But just to be able to invest in these companies within these organizations, I think is definitely going to help drive the revenue. And hopefully we can get onto the level of some of these other major sports, because we love hockey and that's where it's at.
First off, wholly Black Mirror episode with this. First off, that'll be my only description for that. And then second off, hockey's a business, boys. Sports is a business. Everything around us is a business. And if you're not selling a lot of nachos at the stand, your investment's not going to be getting good. And that's part of the business. And that is the ticket sales. And like these people who are invested into these companies, they're facing the backlash off of these things. Oh, I don't mean to bag. I feel like we've been bagging on the Vancouver Canucks enough, but like you think some of the people who have invested into that organization as a company aren't taking hits. Like it's the truth, and people don't see that. They never see it, but now they could feel it in real life with their real hard-earned money in these situations. And Frank is right. There's definitely, I feel like there's a cloak and dagger to most of those things and a lot of investments on that line, unless it's, just a straight stock, but I don't know. It's wacky, and it's going to not only fuel these companies who are helping out the organization, it's just going to be like a huge flywheel effect, because if, these things go well, then it's going to work just like the normal stock market. And I can see that if it's somewhat successful in hockey, boys, we better buckle up, because it's going to be 50 times bigger in football and basketball. It's going to be nuts, and they're going to try and hit it really hard if they start to see some revenue driving up. So just crazy, boys. Black Mirror at its finest.
Another point is it's funny because it says that it's not predicated on winning and losing of the franchise, that they're two separate segments of this theory with the ETF. But if you look at it from a larger scale, what do you think is going to happen? Sponsorship's gone. Support is gone. So what does that do? That completely changes the diversity in the portfolio. So if you have a massive hitter and a brand in a company, such as, I don't know, hypothetically, Coca-Cola, right? Coca-Cola is a big supporter of, hypothetically, the Toronto Maple Leafs. If the Leafs are in the toilet, Gavin McKenna, the savior, cannot save them, and they are in the toilet, Coca-Cola pulls out, those sponsorship dollars are out, that massively changes the structure of that portfolio. So from an investment level, the value of that portfolio that you've invested all your hard-earned money into is probably worth a lot less. So again, this is so interesting, I think, because a lot of fans out there, I can picture a lot of fans out there being like, yeah, man, got the Maple Leafs ETF, super excited about it. They're like, they're going to kill it this year. It's like, buddy, that's not what it's about. No. They could be killing it, but the investment, for some odd reason, I don't know. The factory plant for Coke could have closed down, and it is just completely diluting their revenue. Then that makes the portfolio go downhill. But again, it's interesting. We keep talking about it because the integration of advertising, sports, and media is the future of sports. You cannot talk about sports without having the integration of any of these pieces that we always talk about. So all of you that are out there are like, these guys talk about stuff like, business stuff a lot. Yes, because we want to educate everybody out there into the integration of all these environments into sports. It's in everything we live and breathe, especially in the social media era. LRL family, we have another amazing interview this week. Noah Powell, Lehigh Valley Phantoms forward. I want everybody to listen to this episode because when you read elite prospects, you build a lot of formulations of ideas that you think a player is. And what I love about Noah is, like everything that we do in the locker room life, he tells his story. Every stop, every point of adversity, everything that he went through to become the professional hockey player he is now. And we really wanted to point that out because he played in a lot of amazing places, and he was able to walk us through each step of his life and what each one of those spots played in relevance to his hockey journey and his hockey career. So we can't wish him anything but the best this season, but such a good kid, and glad we got to catch up with him.
Amazing episode. He was one of the first guys to make that jump from NCAA to the OHL. He was one of those first guys, and we had the chance to talk to him about it, and just a great down to earth kid who really deserves what he's getting and playing and signing a pro contract. And I say the best AHL barn. Lehigh Valley is a good spot, and great year at ASU, and we're really pumped to see what he does this next year. Thank you for your time, brother.
Yeah, Noah, thanks for coming on, man. And it's no accident that he's at pro at such a young age. For where he's came from, what he's been through. He's had a lot of different stops, but each stop was an important part of his journey, and it prepared him to where he is now, going into his first full season of pro, signed with the Philadelphia Flyers, and we can't wait to watch him, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, Noah Powell, turn it up and enjoy. It all comes down to this: a best of 7 battle, and DraftKings has you covered every step of the way.
The DraftKings sports app is now available in all 50 states and includes all markets. Sweat every shift of the series all in one place with one app.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN so you're ready for the moment. That's code THPN. Turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-MY-RESET. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 and over in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. Limited time offer.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Locker Room Live podcast. We are honored to be joined. Noah Powell just finished up his college career, just signed with the Flyers, ready to start his pro career. Buddy, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So we're super excited to have you on. Your story, everything you've done to this point, so much to share. So let's start it right from the beginning, man. Hockey. Where did it start? When did it start? Let's rip it.
When I was born, doctors had told me that I had problems with like my core and just being extremely underdeveloped and behind my peers. So my parents were like, "Oh, let's put him in just ice skating so he can kind of get some balance and try something different." And so then they put me in like figure skates and like skating lessons. One day I'm leaving the rink. It was a mini rink in Glenview, Illinois, like right across the street from me. And then I'm leaving and I see sticks, pucks, and I'm like, "Oh, what's that? I want to do that. Forget whatever I'm doing." They went up to the coach and asked him right then and there, said, "How do we do this? No one in my family's or in our family had ever played hockey. What is this? What do we do? Where do we go buy stuff?" Went and bought gear, I think maybe that day, and then ended up joining them later that week.
What an awesome story. I mean, to be, a first generation hockey player and then sign a professional contract. But bring it back, playing in Illinois, one of the hockey hotbeds of the United States, and kind of growing up through that ecosystem. And I know you made the jump to Shattuck too, but also decided to come back later on that.
So it was crazy, honestly. I had always wanted to play in the NHL. I don't know why. It's just I like the big rink and I like the hockey itself, and I thought it was pretty cool. I was thankful I was in Illinois. It's a great hotbed, like you said. And so I started with the Glenview Stars playing. I played like 3 years up just because there was no like actual team to play. I don't think I was that great for the first few months, but then I got better and slowly blended in a little bit because some of the guys were older and more experienced. Then I moved over to Northbrook, my hometown, played there for 4 years. And when I played in Northbrook for 4 years, I played with guys like 3 to 4 years older than me as well, just because other kids kind of were just playing house league and I had already played a little bit of travel. So there's one coach was like, "Hey, if he wants to do travel, we'll throw him in." So I kind of got thrown into the fire with travel hockey. It was, I think, bronze team. I don't know. It was fun. We played like 50 games. We were going to Michigan, Indiana, Wisconsin. We got pumped a lot. I think we entered a AAA tournament as like a AA team. We had like Bell Tire, Victory Honda, and Honey Baked. I don't think we scored a goal all weekend, but just things like that I definitely remember. And then I was like, "Oh, what's this AAA thing?" Because in Michigan at the time, you could do AAA a little earlier. So I was like, "Oh, I want to do this now." Shortly after leaving the Blue Hawks, I went to the Falcons for a year to play Central States. And Central States was essentially a gap between AAA and AA and like travel hockey. It was just kind of made up by parents just as another level up for kids that weren't quite good enough to play AAA or were not old enough yet, but still above travel hockey. So I joined that, and then I actually ended up getting cut from Central States. So I didn't even play Central States. So I went to the Falcons thinking that I would. Ended up making their second team, and then I went to Chicago Young Americans, which is now CYA. That kind of fell apart. There was a huge organizational failure within that group, and then Rob Hudson was my coach, and I left to go to Team Illinois with him and a few other players as well. And we had a great time with Team Illinois. And actually CYA is now the Windy City Storm, so it's completely rebranded. I don't remember what happened, but there's some issues with the ownership. But I mean, I had a good time there, but following Rob Hudson was just awesome just because he's such a great coach, as I'm sure you've seen his kids. They're all pretty good hockey players. And so I had Rob Hudson at Team Illinois, I had Sean Behrens and then Tom Newton, who was also a former assistant coach at Michigan State. And Sean Behrens is a former All-American from Michigan State. And they kind of sandwiched Rob. So I had Rob my second year, Sean my first year, Tom Newton my third year. So I was just surrounded by great coaching at Team Illinois. And then as I got into more rigorous academics, because my parents were always big on school, I was at a crossroads of school with taking honors classes and just my high school just being a abnormally strong public high school. And they're like, hey, if you miss the amount of days that you're allotted to miss, we're going to fail you and there's going to be some issues. So my parents were like, yeah, that's not going to happen. We're going to need to figure something else out here. And so I had gone out to I'd tried out at Shattuck my first year, like as a seventh grader going into eighth grade year to play there as an eighth grader. And I don't remember if I made it or did. I think I made the team, but they're like, hey, if you make the team, like you're going to be the 13th forward or the 12th forward, like you should probably just go back. I guess I made it, but I didn't really. So my dad was like, yeah, you were never really going there for eighth grade anyways. Like you're going back to your local middle school, and which was definitely the right decision because I would have been playing out of state, which would have been, that could have been like a big mistake. Went back and tried out my next year, had a great tryout, toured the school, really enjoyed it, made the team. And that's when I went to Shattuck. I get there, we're doing all of our like preseason stuff, like we're lifting, we're skating a bunch. And then all of a sudden I start to get like a weird feeling in my back. My back's getting super tight, whatever, think nothing of it. Play my first game, get like ran from behind on a breakaway. My back hurts a little more. I'm like, all right, whatever. The trainers are like, all right, you're fine. I play 7 more games without knowing that I had a fractured spine. So I had a fractured spine for 7 games. My parents, one day, they just like, hey, we're going to go get an MRI. I had cysts all on my back, 2 like big cuts, like or like little gaps in like the x-ray. And so they're like, oh yeah, you need to take a break. So then I take a break for like 3 months or whatever. I'm rehabbing. I go to this training house, the Minnesota Vikings facility, and then another local one. I'm going like once or twice a day, 3 months straight. I'm running the score clock for like every game. I'm like the mule. They're like, hey, we need someone to go run the score clock for this game. Can you do it? Like, yeah. I'm like, I'll do the U14 game. That's my team. Then they're like, all right, U16. I'm like, all right, can you do the prep? And then can you do the girls team? So I ran the score. I watched a lot of hockey. Let's just put it that way. We've watched a lot of hockey, played a lot of music for the crowd for those months. And then I ended up coming back and I was awesome. Like I could lift, I could skate and all that. And then COVID happened. So I got sent home. So that was my first year at Shattuck. Then second year, COVID nightmare. We're getting locked in our dorms. If you have COVID, then you can't skate for a week and you're locked in your dorm. And then you're locked with your roommate who doesn't have COVID, but you do. And then you give it to him. They couldn't contain it. And it was kind of like a shit show, honestly. And so it had never really gotten sorted out. And I had a great time. Like I loved it there. I had a bunch of great friends, Zeev Bouillon, another top prospect for the Canucks now, like Grayson Sachin. Like I had a lot of friends. Like it was Cooper Pearson. We just had a great time together, and we were such a close team. During COVID, we got extremely close because I mean that's all we could do was play video games with each other, play hide and seek, and do other stupid things that I guess 15-year-old kids do when they're locked in the dorm. And so it also came to another crossroads where it's like, hey, you kind of have to say if you're going back like while the year's still going on. Because just for them to plan things, it's like, hey, listen, I don't think we're going to come back. I mean, COVID, like, it ruined the whole experience. So I never had a natural, normal Shattuck experience just because my freshman year, I fractured my spine. Sophomore year, then everything happened with COVID and we didn't know what it was going to be like next year. And so I went back home to play for the Mission. Played for Yannick Pro, who's Gabe Pro's dad. And Yannick played in the NHL, and Gino Cavallini, who also played in the NHL. So it's like, hey, I get to go reunite with some buddies that I never got to play with back home and play for a team that I always grew up playing against because I played at Team Illinois. I was like, hey, this is another great thing to do. And I get to go to TPH, which is, they just opened it the first year in Chicago where you lift and skate, and then you go do your schoolwork, and then you can go to your team practice. And so I did that. After that for a year, I didn't get drafted in the USHL. Remember that? That was a terrible feeling. Kind of watching guys that were like tearing up the W. I think like Shane Wright got drafted, and I was sitting there like, man, this guy's killing up the O. Like he's never coming to the USHL. Like this is like a charity pick. I was like, they couldn't take me. Going into that Mission season, I had a good weekend at this Blaine showcase that's in Minnesota that Shattuck did every year, and I got picked up as an affiliate by the Dubuque Fighting Saints. Then I went to their main camp. I already had like a negative connotation regarding main camp because I actually went to main camp with you in Waterloo a while back. I got cut from Waterloo, and then I went into Des Moines and got cut there too. I was like, hey, I'm not going to another one. Tri-City had asked me if I want to come. I'm like, I'm not going to Vegas to get cut again. I didn't have the greatest mindset going in, but I had a really great camp. I made the All-Star game for the first time. Then they invited me to training camp, and I was like, all right, let's go see what happens. And kind of my fallback was going to Janesville, which I had heard was a great spot, but I obviously wanted to play in the USHL that year. And then I was told I was like the last cut to make the team. I think I had like 3 points, a goal, 2 goals and an assist. And then I fought in like the preseason game against Green Bay. And they're like, hey, we're going to take you. I scored my first game and then had a little rough patch and then found my game a little bit towards the end of the season. Going into my next year, they were like, hey, you can earn a bigger role here and like kind of step up. And I was like, all right, this is great. I'm going. I'm a little older this time. I have friends here. I know what to expect. I know the coaching staff. You kind of have that little edge going back for your second year juniors. I was getting pushed down like the 13th forward. I don't know what it was. The Pittsburgh Showcase, the Classic. Every year I went to that, I kind of just like froze and just didn't play well at all. I had 4 games there. I had 1 was great. It was my first game. The other 3 were horrendous. Like they just weren't pretty at all. And so I kind of fell into a rough patch from there and went downhill. I think I had like a goal in 14 games. I was like, wow, I was better as a rookie. And I was just getting pushed on the lineup, rightfully so. I wasn't playing well. And then one weekend we had 3 injuries and 2 suspensions. So 5 guys were out, 5 forwards were out. We called up a D-man to play forward. And coach was like, your power play Powell was my nickname was Powell. He was like, you're on the power play now. Went from like 4th line to PP1. He's like, this is your chance. Show us what you got. I had like a 5-point weekend. We swept the weekend. And he was like, all right, we're going to run with it. And then from then on, like I think I never went 2 games without scoring a goal. So I scored a goal every other game. So basically every weekend. And I just had like 42 goals in 45 games. And I got super close with all my teammates. Like we were going out for dinner or lunch or something every day. We hung out all the time. We were like the greatest chemistry of all time that I've ever had. It was just crazy. One of my line mates, Jay Reeder, I'd actually known since I was like 6 years old. Like when I was playing for Glenview and Northbrook, we would play against each other. Whoever scored more goals between us kind of like whose team won the game. Just because it was just like, it was kind of youth hockey. It's kind of just take it down the ice and take a shot. And if you score, you score. And that's kind of how goals were scored. And so I went from playing against him, playing with him at Mission, and he was my line mate when I was in Dubuque. So we kind of had unreal chemistry, and Jake Sondriel was our center. And so we just kind of went on a heater together, and we just took off, and we were killing teams, going on crazy runs. I think we won like 8 games in a row at one point. And yeah, it was just awesome. Later that year, after we lost in the finals to Fargo, it was I think they broke the record for most wins in all of USHL history. They lost like 9 games, and the rest they won. I ended up getting drafted to Philly in the 5th round, which is super cool because I got passed up on the first round or the first go round in 2023. So I got taken in 2024. Able to share the moment with family and some friends and one coach that I'd been working with for a long time. It was a great feeling. It's something you kind of dream about your whole life. And then went to development camp. That was a great time. Went to the World Junior Summer Showcase. Had a great showcase there, but had a rougher start to OSU. Things didn't really click out. And then I kind of left for Oshawa. And that was an unreal experience playing with so many first rounders and other talented guys and playing in a town that really loves hockey like I haven't seen in quite some time. Went to ASU, had a good time there, and then I just signed in March. So that's kind of like the general rundown of my hockey career.
Man, we got to take it back here a sec. You kind of touched on a little. Your first year in the USHL, you went from 8 goals to 43 your next year. An absolute bizarre jump, over 70 points. And you never really looked back after that start that you touched on. What changed for you, and where did that confidence come from to propel you for the remainder of your career up until now?
Well, part of it was like it was forced confidence. I was like, well, he literally can't sit me. Like there was no one like I think we called it like 2 affiliates and a defenseman. So I was like, no matter what I do, he can't sit me. It was Kirk McDonald was the coach, and he was a great coach. He was able to get the most out of me when I wasn't doing well, and even when I was doing well, little things he would do to try and give me that little like jump. And I think he found a way to do it that weekend. Like he just kind of sat me down and was like, just chill, go out, play you. I have to play you kind of thing. We have no forwards and we're playing a defenseman with 2 affiliates. So it was like the USHL debut. So just have fun with it. And then first period, like with like 2 seconds left, I scored on the power play. And from that, like getting my first goal, I think that was my second goal in like game 15. It felt unreal. And I was just like, it was with my friends and they were super happy for me. They knew I hadn't scored in a long time. And so from there, I just had like a super, super boost of confidence, and then ended up scoring a game winner the next night. I kind of was on cloud 9 and then kept going with it. Honestly, I didn't really think, I think that doing extra reps with some of the skills coaches and assistants like Evan Dixon and Kirk McDonald was so helpful. I mean, anything that they were like, hey, this isn't going well, like let's work on this after practice or before practice or during our skills. And so just being more confident in my game, I feel like to an extent, I always had the tools as I kind of showed, but I needed access to them and just confidence with reps. And that's kind of how it took off.
Brother, first of all, I want to apologize for Bakes and I's alma maters, the Waterloo Blackhawks, and I played for the Des Moines Buccaneers, missing out on an epic player such as yourself. But more than anything, what sticks out, Noah, is that we talk about all the time on this podcast is the journey, right? It's never a straight line. And we live in this EP world. Like if somebody was to EP Noah Powell, there's a lot of teams on this list at the highest level, but that's why we're so excited to have you on to really tell this story of your path. And really, there's a lot of adversity there, right? Like there's a lot of times and a lot of signs where you're like, what do I even do? What am I doing? Where do I go? And kind of walk us through how you've navigated through your path and just continuously gone forward. And like you said, I think you're a prime example of making the most of your opportunities, especially for the younger generation players that are listening to you and how successful you are. How do you navigate through that, the adversity and just the trials and tribulations?
I think it's so hard, especially like with elite prospects. It's super challenging. Like if you were to stop my career at a certain point, you'd be like, this kid's going nowhere. And then you kind of play it for a little bit and you're like, oh, wait, maybe he might. And then you kind of like, oh, maybe he not. I think kind of just staying and like putting your head down, like the less you think about things that don't actually matter and like just not care, the better off that you're going to be. When I was not scoring in Dubuque, I was like, all right, I don't really care what happens anymore. I'm just going to go out there and have fun. To a certain extent, I was like, I'm not going to have the season that I wanted. There's absolutely no way that I can. So I might as well go out there and give it my best and then see what happens. And I ended up having a great season. It's one that I wouldn't have imagined before. Like even the coaches had said, hey, we thought your best season that you could give us was 40 to 45. And that's in maybe 15 goals. And I remember my coach telling me, hey, I know this is what we told you at the beginning of the year. We should shoot for like 10 and 10 maybe. And so I was just like, all right. And obviously that kind of pisses you off a little bit. Just, you don't want to work backwards from when you're older and more experienced and you put in a huge summer of work. And then I feel like I've kind of applied that since, not caring what other people think and just kind of doing the best decisions for me and keeping my head down and focusing on what really matters, which is the people around you, your journey, and making sure that you're enjoying the process and having fun with it. Because we all started this to have fun. And now there's different niches and genres in which you can go into this game, the coaching, the playing, podcasts. Like, I think it's all super exciting and it's all revolved around one game, which I think sometimes people get lost in sometimes.
That's the whole goal of this platform, man. You mentioned it there with like podcasting. We just want to be able to give back to the game that's given us so much every single day. Elaborate on this question as much as you want, but you were one of the first players to go from NCAA to the OHL. And that was a big thing that was changing the landscape of hockey forever. Talk about your decision to make that jump. Also, don't mean to date myself. Second to last pick for Oshawa. Once a gen, always a gen. That's what I will say.
When I had gotten to OSU, like the year that I had, it was so crazy that they just told me, hey, you're going to go back for another year. Like, we told you that you could come in after next year, but that's not the plan anymore. You'd have to do something crazy for us to consider bringing you in. And then I was kind of following along. I was doing average and then I was doing better than average. And then I had a good streak up. They're like, all right, let's see if you can do it for the rest of the year. And then I turn it up another notch. And at that point, I don't think there was much conversation about actually bringing me in had I gone a heater. And so I think they kind of built a team not envisioning me to be on it. I don't fully know exactly what happened, but then when I got there, it was just a little different. Like, it wasn't exactly what I expected. The area we were living in, it was a little rough around the edges. Guys were great though. It didn't end up being a great fit. Like the coaching staff, they treated me well. They were understanding. It was not meant for me to go there, be a Buckeye with the timeline in which I went there. And just another thing, when I signed, one of the assistant coaches had said, congratulations on signing. One of the head coach texted me after I had left Ohio State, wishing me luck in my first OHL game. So it's not like there's bad blood per se. I just think there's a few things that, we didn't necessarily align on that could have been planned and organized a little better. And I didn't really even want to leave, to be honest, at first. I'm kind of loyal to a fault. I was enjoying myself. I liked my teammates. I had a good click. But I think at a certain point, my agent had said, hey, listen, like at a certain point, you got to think about hockey like a business. And where you want to go, it is a business. And for you and your development, for you to get the most out of it, you're most likely going to transfer after this year anyways. And there's 10 games left in the season. You can do that. And, you're stuck. Like once you hit the portal, you can't really train at the place that you transfer out of. So it's like you're kind of stuck. or you can go to Oshawa. You can play 30 regular season games, and then you have the chance to go win something big with another great organization and great players. I mean, we had like 4 or 5 first rounders on that team, a few second rounders, and then a couple fifth rounders. I said no at first. I didn't want to leave. Like, it just felt wrong to leave a team. And, we were bound to make the tournament at one point, and I thought that would be cool too. But I felt like in a way I was looking out for myself and, making the jump to Oshawa, while it was an uncomfortable one, and ended up being a great one just because I was able to put myself in a new environment with new players, new coaching staff, and it was elite. I mean, they treated us like gold. Whatever you want, you kind of had. We had like a rapid shot. We had huge gym. We had a sick locker room. We had a sauna. We had a cold tub. We had like nice showers, the whole 9 yards, great training staff, great coaches. Our coach played in the NHL. The other coach they brought in won 2 Memorial Cups. And then they had like an elite video guy and a power play guy. We had like 12 power play breakouts, and they knew all 12. First game, I was like, "Whoa, what is this?" It was like an NHL. They were like, "Hey, this is how we run things." And my agent had said they'd try to run it just like an NHL program. And obviously, I haven't been in the NHL yet, but I mean, it's pretty elite. Doing that was definitely a unique experience, and I feel like at the end of the day, looking back at it, it was definitely the right choice for me, just because there was so much development that had occurred in that short time frame. It's like less than half a year, but I got to play playoffs. I got to play like an NHL schedule. There was one point where we had played like 17 games in like 24 days. And so I had never done that before. Just getting that experience, being on the road, meeting a new group of guys, different type of talent. I could sound like Callum Ritchie, Colby Barlow, like so many first rounders, and they were already close too. So it was different being on the outside looking in. And then they kind of brought me in as well, just because they had played together, some of them 3-4 years. It'd be like Dubuque, but you stay there for 3-4 years. And so you can imagine the chemistry there, and some of the things that I saw, I'm like, wow, it looks just like on TV. So I feel like that was a really, really great experience.
Extremely well said, man.
That's so cool, man. And you really got a taste of both worlds. But where did this decision to come back to college hockey and ended up going to Arizona State, which is a up and coming program? We got to go down there this year and play. Just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think the plan was always, there had been talks about signing and going to the O, but I think between my family and I, we felt most comfortable about going back to school. So that was kind of the direction that we had gone in. And I wanted another crack at hockey and school, like the combo. At Oshawa, one of the things was kind of buying into a role that, I aspire to play in pro hockey one day, which is not necessarily like the top scorer, but a power forward that can kind of help win games, still produce, but not at such a high clip like some of the first and second rounders and like, they're your top guys. And so I wanted to try and emulate that in college, and I wanted the opportunity to do that in college. And so I think that's kind of where ASU came up. There had been a couple other guys that I had known that were at ASU and that were going to ASU. So I felt that would be a good spot. Especially another thing that played a key part was, maybe focusing a little less on like the school aspect. I wanted to take a bigger stab at hockey, and they developed like a pretty flexible schedule with my classes where I didn't have to be in class on a game day like I did at Ohio State. And so I was able to shape my school around hockey, which was awesome. And I'm super grateful that they were able to do that for me. And then another thing is weather. Everywhere I played, you look Faribault, Minnesota, Iowa, Columbus, Oshawa, all freezing places. So I was super, super grateful to live in a place that was warm where it's December and you can wear slides. That was another great experience as well, because I had never lived there. Like the desert, like when I first got there, I was like, maybe I made a mistake. It's 125 degrees. I was like, this is so hot. And they're like, no, this is everyone. You just kind of sit inside for a little bit during August. But it was a cool experience. We didn't have the year we wanted to, but again, made a lot of great friendships, learned a lot of lessons, both good and bad, and was kind of able to walk out of there signing an NHL contract too. So I'm super grateful for the role that I played in ASU and the role that ASU played in my life.
No, you just described every day of my life. I live in Arizona. I am currently living in Arizona cooking. It's 110 degrees outside, but what a program. There's seldom times in my life that I contemplate making a fake birth certificate, but to play at ASU, just the campus, the environment, that's amazing. And it's so cool that was kind of your last step into moving into professional hockey. But I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. You're going to be talking about something that everybody wants to know. I guess you could say there's a debate, but the USHL versus the OHL. Describe the style of hockey. And, I'd love for you to weigh in on just
Yeah.
what you liked better, because that's an important thing. And this is something, of course, the landscape that's going on right now. Everybody,
Yeah.
especially the younger generation, making these decisions. So I think your output is definitely, respected on this.
Yeah, so I think the year before my rookie year, the USHL was a lot older and I feel like meaner. There was a lot more, I don't want to say depth, but I think the third and fourth line guys in the USHL to an extent were, at least from my experience, were like really very physically mature. And they were they were gnarly to play against, at least from what I saw in main camp. Like there was a guy on every team that was like, all right, like he's a big dude. Like you don't kind of want to get in his face. And then the USHL had like a minor shift. Like it started, at least my year, it was kind of unique. They brought in so many guys from teams that they otherwise wouldn't have played on. Like Gridden came to the USHL. Trevor Connolly was on a USHL team. Michael Haig was on a USHL team. Julian Lutz was on a USHL team. And like he was from Germany. Like he was a legit guy. And there's more guys like that where you had like another guy that was just like a stud that was on other teams like this that just made the team so much better on top of the older, more experienced guys, kind of similar to the CHL. So I feel like that year there were some teams that definitely could compete with the CHL, as well as you have guys that are super teams. Like it was different. This team was a little more organic, but the Fargo team was just super well-rounded, a lot older, more experienced. They'd played a ton together. And I feel like that year was definitely could give some CHL teams a run for their money. But again, the CHL, like especially the OHL teams, I mean, they're so good. They're together for longer. You have guys that kind of leave for college. Like once you kind of tear it up, you kind of leave for college. And in the CHL, that's not necessarily the case because you could tear it up, but you couldn't go to college because of the rule change. And it's, hey, are you good enough for the NHL? If not, you got to go back to the O. But then again, we had kind of a similar thing where guys could have gone to college, but they went to the USHL instead. Or they had gone pro and they didn't, I don't know why, but they went to the USHL as well. Like Juraj Pekarczyk, one of my teammates, he could have played college hockey the year that he came here, but I think he'd already played pro. And I'm pretty sure that they had ties with Dubuque. So he was like, hey, I'm going to go to Dubuque. And there's a unique point in time where a lot of guys that you wouldn't expect to go to the USHL went to the USHL. Like Boisvert was another guy that went to the USHL. And so you have all those guys. And I'm curious on how some of those teams like the Muskegon, Fargo, Dubuque, my year, how they would do against some of those OHL teams. Although I do think right now the OHL they have it by far. You got guys leaving the USHL and NCDP to go to the OHL. So that's not even a debate. But the USHL doesn't really load up teams quite like the O either, which is another thing that's why I think the OHL would probably come out on top. But yeah, I mean, you can't trade the first round picks in the O, but you can trade the player. And so you'll see these blockbuster trades. You'll see like 3 seconds, 3/3, 3/4 for like one guy. Like they did that for Gibson, like Andrew Gibson the day before I got there. And I was like, what is this? Things like that they push them over. They're like, hey, we'll sell out. We'll suck for 2 years, 3 years. We don't care. We're going to win this year and we're going to go all in on it. And you don't really see that as much in the USHL.
You made amazing points. Like those are all top level points. And at those USHL camps, especially during the time you're talking about, they were wanting you to get in a fight. Yeah. But then you go to the OHL and it's the same guys, same development, but they're all as skilled as an AHL player, at least. It really is crazy. And it's going to be a big talking point as the years keep going. But Noah, for younger you or a kid who's in Illinois, who's watching your career and seeing it unfold, what's the advice that you're giving to them to keep going on this path of hockey?
I would say to roll with the punches and remember why you started. In anything that you pursue, there's always going to be some sort of adversity one way or another. Whether you choose hockey, athletics, academics, trade school, whatever it is that you pursue in life, there's always going to be some sort of roadblock that you're going to have to overcome or navigate. Remembering why you got into it in the first place is always a great starting point for reflection, just because this is a game. And sometimes I think we lose fact of the fact that it's still a game. Yes, people get paid obscene amounts of money to play the game, but at the same time, it's still a game. Coming back to your roots and remembering that whether it's a big moment or not, that it's still a game and just having fun with it. I feel like when you're maybe not playing your best, you're not having fun, but when you're playing your best, you're definitely having fun. When you're kind of winning and you're doing well, like you never really get tired. Remembering that feeling, what it's like, and waiting until you get to that feeling again is another good reminder as well.
I know you just wrapped up Dev Camp and you just got your first taste of pro hockey. How was the AHL, especially being such a young guy coming right out of college?
It was super fun. I think they did a good job in how they kind of threw me in. They didn't really give me time to, get nervous or anything. So I had flown in. I had signed on like the 11th, and then I get there on like a Thursday. Thursday at 2 a.m. And they're like, all right, you got to be up at 5 a.m. You have medicals. So I do like 4 hours of medicals. The trainer and I bonded. We were like talking the entire day. He's the best. He was always there for me whenever I had questions or any tweaks or anything. I think that was awesome of him. He was a really good sport about it because it was super early in the morning. And then we had practice, video and all that. And then I talked to the trainer. I was like, hey, so like, I don't think I'm going to play, but do you know like what like the schedule kind of is? And he's like, oh no, I think like the plan is usually like when guys get here, like they try to plan right away, but don't quote me on that. And so then I go in there and meet the head coach and it's like, so how you feeling? I was like, oh, I'm good. He's like, you hurt? And I was like, no. And he's like, all right, the plan's for you to play tomorrow. Just have fun at practice and we'll show you a few things in video and on the whiteboard, but just go out there and have fun with it and, just enjoy yourself. Went for team practice, going on like 3 hours of sleep. And didn't really know too many guys. I knew some of the guys, but a lot of them, hadn't been signed yet or they hadn't joined at the time. Because I was the first one to sign because we didn't make playoffs, unfortunately. So I was there pretty early on. I get there, have a good practice, and they're like, all right, you bus there, get to Syracuse. There's a hotel. They're like, all right, here's your per diem. Do what you want. And I was like, wait, why we don't have like team dinner or anything like that? So a couple of guys are like, hey, just come with us. We're going to go to an Italian spot. Hang with us for the night. So I'm like, all right. We kind of sit in the lobby, hang out, go to an Italian spot, and then we get dinner, go back to the hotel, go to bed, wake up, pregame skate, and then I play that night. And then I play the next night and the night after. So I had a 3-3 my first weekend there. And I was still adjusting to the time zone and I was sleep deprived. So I was sleeping like 4 hours a night just because it was so wonky. Like we bussed from one city to the next. I had a great time with it. It was so much fun. And we ended up winning 2 games. We beat Syracuse and Wilkes, who were 2 of the top teams in the league at the time. And it was just a great experience and great weekend. The guys were super nice and welcoming. The coaching staff was great. They gave me feedback all throughout the bench and on the bus and made me feel welcome. And I was really grateful for that as well.
That's awesome, man. That's kind of a lesson also is when you just get into a situation and you just play and you're just in the moment, you don't have time, like you said, you don't have time to just overdiagnose. And we live in this world where it's just like our own mind can be our own worst enemy at times. You're kind of rolling with the punches and you're just like, I'm just taking every experience as it comes. And that's the true you, which is amazing. But I want to roll it back just a little bit because we grazed over it. Getting drafted, because we've had a lot of players that have been drafted. And for every hockey player out there, it's such a special moment. And especially with your journey. And it's funny the way that your journey is because you're kind of at the strongest point of your career, which is amazing, right? The COVID year, the health, and now you're like at full strength going into pro hockey. But getting drafted and being part of that 1% that gets to really enjoy being part and getting your name called for an NHL club, like what did that mean for you? Especially there was some adversity along the way.
It's definitely a dream come true. Honestly, I think that's the one part I want to get there first. It's a dream come true. It was a great family moment, but at the same time, it just kind of reminds you of all the times, you're outside shooting pucks at night. You miss a high school dance because you're in Dubuque, Iowa. You don't get Christmas this year. You don't get Thanksgiving. You miss the 4th of July because you're at development camp, but that's after the fact, I guess. And there's just all these things that you sacrifice. And at the end of the day, just even if it didn't work out, if I didn't get drafted, I would have been happy that I gave it my all and was willing to live through the process, because at a certain point in time, that's kind of how it was. It was more process driven rather than outcome driven. And the more that I kind of like just bathed in that, being on the ice, being in the gym, hanging out with friends, shooting pucks in my backyard, stick handling, lifting weights, doing mobility, stretching, having fun with it, the more that I truly appreciated the game of hockey. And then all leading to that moment where there's no feeling, there's no thoughts. Like it's just kind of like a blackout moment. You don't really think much of it. And then you're just like, oh my God, I just got drafted. I feel like that's usually how it happens when you have a big moment, like when you first commit or when you first make the juniors team. It doesn't really hit you until you're finally there. And for me, I was like starstruck. I kind of just sat there looking at the TV. I was like, oh my God, that's me. And so I feel like that was just a great feeling just with my family and my friends. They all gave me big hugs. We hung out, we celebrated. I had a bunch of people come over and stop by, childhood friends, old teammates, old friends, family, coaches. And so I feel like it was just a great moment to spend with the people that had helped me get there. It was a surreal moment.
That's great, bro. Well, we'll loosen it up here, brother. We'll probably each ask you a question or two. Give it to us quick. But what's your favorite cheat meal?
I don't even know if this is a ribeye, a steak and fries.
What was your favorite barn you ever played in?
Maybe Michigan State or Mullet. Or North Dakota.
Okay.
Sorry, North Dakota.
Donk.
Superstitions, man. Walk us through. Are you just a don't talk to me, don't touch me type guy? Or you're just keeping it loose?
No, so I actually have a funny one that a few people have picked up on. So like every time I touch the ice, I do like a little weird shuffle. So my left foot touches the ice first when I first get on the ice, and then I push 2 strides with the right, 2 strides with the left, and then 3 with the right, and then I cross over 3 times. So it's super weird. It's super weird. But yeah, a few people have noticed that. I do it like it's like really like rhythmic and robotic when I first get on the ice.
I love it.
Very interesting. What's your favorite TV show to binge?
The Mentalist. I just got into that. I'm on season 2, and it's been like a week. So definitely that show.
Walk us through how you tape the twig. Are you using black, using white, thick, thin?
If I have white, I'll use white. I use the double thick, like the thick tape. And then I'll start at the heel. I'll go all the way to the toe, like I'm going to tape my toe, and then leave like a sliver of my toe open. So like I can still like touch, like the toe still touches the ice.
A little slick, little pop,
Skill
little
guy
poppy
tape
in there.
job.
Little poppy in
National
there.
League.
One word to describe you, Noah.
I'd say maybe outgoing or fun. One of the other ones. I think maybe energetic. I have a lot of energy, so like I'm super hyper. But one of those 3 for sure.
Brother, that's a capper on an amazing episode.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was great.
Dude, you have an amazing story, and you're going to have a big season, and we got to get you back on sometime down the road, but we can't wait to see what you do this year.
Yeah, no, like we said, the whole point of this podcast is to share the stories, but you've had the fortune to play in a lot of different leagues, and especially, like we said, in the landscape these days, a lot of players are going to be making some pretty crucial decisions, so it's good to know and just to hear your journey and being able to speak on just your experiences, and I think it's going to be amazing for kids and our audience to hear. But thank you so much, brother. We can't wish you anything but the best this season. I know you're going to kill it, especially going into pro hockey, but don't forget about us and when you're crushing it in the show.
I will. Thank you. Look forward to talking to you guys sometime soon.
All right, brother. Let her know. Thank you so much for Noah joining the show. We know that he's going to be cracking Philly's lineup here soon, so we can't wait to watch that. But more importantly, like we said, he comes from a great family. Just being able to help him navigate through a lot of adversity through his career. So we're so happy that he's in a great place, health-wise, mentally. So we can't wait to watch him this year.
Yeah, brother. As we always say, you're part of the family now. We are so excited to see you rip it up this year. It's going to be fun. And thank you for taking time out of your summer.
Man, we had some great battles in the USHL and the college level. Good luck this year, man. Can't thank you again.
Boys, what an episode. Just another one that would not be allowed, not even permitted, without the amazing support of our wonderful sponsors, Buddy Hockey Club, Best Damn Tape, Quench Hydration, DraftKings Sportsbook, True Fit Customs. It's a capper. I love you guys. I appreciate you every week. For even those who are still listening, we love you. We appreciate you.
Love you, LRL family. You're the best.
We love you guys, and another one.